I don't have enough resilience, and resilience is the fundamental kind of thing upon which this artistic journey, I think, should be built upon. And me not having enough of it is a problem. How does that problem get fixed? Good question. I think going through the process of learning from many different areas of life builds resilience. Many times in my life, a recurring theme is giving up too early. So, a solution to this problem, I know I'm not going to give up on art. I'm not like, I'm just not going to give up. It's not something that's going to happen, I'm not afraid of that. I'm gonna be an artist, but whether I become a good artist or a great artist is or will be dependent on my resilience. So, what builds resilience? Resilience is built via the action or the mechanism of learning over and over. Learning things that aren't easy to learn, learning difficult things over and over, getting good at those things over and over. The reason this builds resilience is because trying to get good at something will come with hurdles, right? Those hurdles will punch you, those hurdles will kick you. Even while you're down, they'll kick you further. Resilience brings the ability to withstand those hurdles and push past them. Whether they're physical, whether they're mental, they're most likely going to be mental. But regardless of what they are, resilience allows you to push through them. And so therefore, resilience is naturally going to be the thing that I need. And I'll get it, by practicing it. That's the only way you're gonna improve anything, right? Is by practice. And resilience in and of itself is a skill. I don't believe that for a second. It's something that you can't improve within yourself. And so I'm going to improve it. Hopefully. No, I will improve it. Yeah, I shouldn't say hopefully because I'm confident that I will. Yeah. It's something that would bleed into any kind of learning, right? I think the biggest key to learning is probably resilience. Because, for the reasons I've previously stated. So yeah, resilience. That's the plan. More resilience. And I think my discipline might be less of an issue. My resilience might be more of an issue. I think they're very closely tied, don't get me wrong, but maybe I should focus on resilience for now. In the gym, it's going well. I hit a new double PR for front squats. I had a bit of a pinch in my hamstring from the good mornings yesterday, so when I did good mornings today, I went much lighter, kind of volume and form training, that kind of thing. I did some hip adduction, that was good, and some calves. My calf training has changed recently. Much more volume, much more intensity, and they're responding so far, which is nice to see because I have pretty skinny calves. So yeah, it's nice to see them grow for once. Upper body is not deteriorating, but it's going to be hard to get back to where I was before. But even if I lose muscle, that process of regaining is always fun because it comes very fast. You see improvements very quickly due to the myonuclei being already banked up, that kind of thing. I'm doing a lot of Hindu squats in between training sessions. It keeps blood in the quads. It really does help with recovery. I genuinely believe that. My quads have not been sore once. Whilst I've been doing these Hindu squats, the amount of blood it sends to the muscle, the amount of nutrients that are getting there as a result of them is great. I go to sleep the next day. It feels like I haven't trained legs or quads rather in a week, right? Which is very powerful. I think there should be something of an equivalent for the hamstrings because my hamstrings are feeling fatigued, and also an equivalent for calves because they're also feeling fatigued. I think calves would be a harder one because you there's so much volume placed on them every day that getting that same kind of pump result from anything other than training really intensely is going to be difficult. So maybe recovery for those will need further research. But yeah, it's nice to be aware of the fact that resilience is something that I need to improve. It's nice to be aware of that fact because now there's not a goal, but there's a new little piece of the puzzle that just got slotted into place, and the puzzle's about 5% completed, I'd say, but it's a lifelong thing, so I'm not too stressed about it, which is nice. In terms of actual sci-fi study and sci-fi design, looking at some of the great designs, Iron Man, all his Iron Man transformations, suit ups, that kind of thing, they renewed kind of interest in mech suits and that kind of thing. Transformers, that's pretty cool, like the kind of the movements of the plating, that kind of thing, how it all slots together. It's really, really interesting, and I'm using that inspiration to help with my designs, right? I'm definitely seeing some improvement. I think that my actual knowledge of shapes and shape painting does need improvement. I've realised that when creating a 2D shape, you kind of want to have options with it, in the sense that if you were to create a 3D form, or like a very kind of a very 3D shape, in the sense that it has X, Y, and Z planes all relatively extruded. If you'd want a shape that would allow you to do that while also being an interesting shape. So that gives you options with the design, right? Say if I was drawing a helmet, I'd want to have the profile view. If I want to have the freedom to choose whether the shape I just drew is 2D or 3D, in a sense. So like, I don't know, say you had a robot helmet, right? And you put a shape into the side of it. That shape could either be a flat panel that's just slapped on top of the helmet, completely flush with the surface of it, i.e. a 2D shape, or it could be an extrusion of the shape or its own 3D object, right? I want to have those options with the shape, and I want the shape to be able to allow me to make a decision, make multiple decisions, give me freedom to decide further on in the painting. And I think that just in general, that kind of knowledge of shapes and kind of giving myself options with shapes, giving myself freedom to just give myself options, give myself freedom with the shapes. And that comes from a knowledge of form and a knowledge of shape being combined together. So study of both is definitely necessary. Also, shape design and designing with shapes is just so much more natural to me. Not when I'm studying functional design, but when I'm just studying design, like aesthetic design in general. Shapes are the way to go, I think. I do think that lines have their own aesthetic to them, and that they shouldn't be ignored, and they can even be incorporated into a shape painting, but I definitely think that shapes give an overall graphic read much faster, and they allow you to see the design or the aesthetic design much faster. Another problem I'm currently facing is not being able to incorporate my functional studies into my aesthetic design. So say, you have like a pivot point or some kind of hydraulic system. I know how those work, I know how those slot together, but they're not necessarily always the most aesthetic things. And being able to implement those functional elements in an aesthetic way while still allowing them to remain recognizable as doing their function is not easy. So that's something that I need to study next as well, and practice also. I think tomorrow you'll see in some of the footage here that I'm kind of taking designs I've already done and improving on them. I'll be doing more of that tomorrow, and I'm going to get into some rendering, which I've not done in a while, but I'm relatively confident in my ability to render in a very efficient, effective way. It's not necessarily the most interesting thing, but it yields very safe results. I think maybe in the future rendering studies will be necessary, because my rendering of form, my rendering of materials, that kind of thing is already, relative to the rest of my skills, pretty high. So maybe new methods of rendering, new more interesting methods of rendering that I can study from other great artists is necessary, because I do have other methods to use, but it's that problem of implementing them into actual designs that I find difficult. I always find myself too timid to do so, which is I think a symptom of not being resilient again, because if I think I'm not resilient as a person, and there's like a learning opportunity for me, something I'm not good at, i.e. implementing different rendering techniques that I do already know into designs that I've done, that's a fear of failing, and in the same way it's in a sense an acknowledgement of my own lack of resilience, because that fear of failure wouldn't be present if I was resilient, because that failure would not bother me if I was resilient. I would simply push through it. So I think that's something to be aware of. This also says something towards practicing your weaknesses and focusing on your weaknesses. It's the reason most people don't do it, the reason I don't do it as much as I definitely should, is because of that fear of failure, due to your own lack of resilience, right? So that's actually pretty interesting. That's something that I'm gonna implement tomorrow. I'm gonna make sure I actively do that. But yeah, this video counts with the one yesterday as well, because it's got footage from both days. I know it's kind of like a scam thing, paint every day. I'm supposed to have a video out every day, but yeah, my bad. I'll try and do better. For real though, I'm trying to be consistent with this, because consistency is very key in all aspects of life. Yeah, that's about it. I'm just rambling now. Yeah, see you next time.